So earlier today, I sat down and watched Unknown Number, the high school Catfish, which is not horror, but definitely thriller-esque, and it's not, a scripted thing. It's a real life documentary. But it was getting a lot of attention, and having watched, I think, all of the Catfish television series as well as the Catfish movie when it originally came out, I'm very familiar with catfishing, especially since I was catfished once upon a time, many years ago. I didn't fall for it for very long. I realized pretty early on that I was being catfished, and I knew it, and I just had to prove it. So I stuck it out a little bit longer than I probably should have, which was like only a month. But I was just like, I needed the person to admit it, which they never did. But I did find out they were catfishing. So anyway, putting all that aside, so yeah, we have a young girl who starts to get text messages from an unknown number about her and her boyfriend. They seemingly have this like perfect, idyllic relationship in their high school, and this person is being extremely vitriolic, and saying absolutely abhorrent, just awful things to her and her boyfriend, and they are trying to piece together who the hell is doing this to me. And it tells the story. I mean, they've already got it solved by the point of the filming, and so you know that eventually it's going to get revealed who it is. And because I'd heard a lot of talk about this, I kind of figured it was going to be something wild. I will talk about spoilers here in a minute, but yeah, overall, I mean, it really is just one of those huge what the fuck type of documentaries where you're just sitting back going, how how is this possible? But it definitely feels like it is, and I mean, unless they're lying, this is what happened. It's just so sad. I think that's really, I mean, it's angering for sure. As far as the documentary goes, I think they do a good enough job engaging you the whole time and getting you to buy into like the mystery and wanting to see the solution. And then once it comes, you're like, what? Okay, now I got to hear more. I just feel like with the resolution and kind of once it's revealed who it is and that side of things, I don't know if I really liked how that all played out. Like, I just felt like I didn't get enough information, but maybe there's just not enough information to get because of the source. And they did the best they could, but it did feel like it left something to be desired in that department. But the lead up to the reveal was good and solid, and then everything from there, you're kind of maybe just because I was so distracted and I kept pausing it because Kaylee wanted to talk to me about it and been like, what the fuck, so it's possible breaking it up a little bit didn't help. But okay, spoilers for this. If anyone has seen it, stick around, or if you just don't care and you want to hear who would be doing something so awful. Because I mean, this person is trying to break up her and her boyfriend. She's constantly, telling her, yes, a she. There you go. I already said spoilers, but whatever. That she is. I guess with she, I meant the daughter. Doesn't matter. Spoilers, from here on. So, but it's like you're getting. She's getting all these texts saying like that she's ugly, that she's got a flat ass, and no one wants to look at her, and that she wants her boyfriend, and that she's she's never going to give her boyfriend what she wants or what he wants, which is like pussy and blowjobs, and she's a prude, and and then eventually gets to the place where she's like, you're fucking awful, nobody likes you, jump off a bridge, kill yourself, bitch. Like, insane. Just awful. And this goes on for like well over a year. I think it's like 22 months before it's finally solved. And even when, she breaks them up, she breaks up the relationship, and she, like, they separate, her and her boyfriend, because she just, like, they can't handle it anymore. So that puts a total strain on their relationship and ends it. And then we get to the point where he tries to date someone else, and the person comes back and is texting that girl and her parents, and like immediately they break up, because the girl's like, I don't want to deal with this shit, this is crazy, and the kid feels cursed, and he's like, what am I gonna do? And the cops are fucking trying to investigate it, but they really can't do a whole bunch. And then they finally get together with somebody who can try to do this, and he's checking, he gets warrants for IP addresses and phone numbers from Verizon. And I knew it. I told Kaylee early on, I'm like, it's going to be one of the parents. It's going to be one of her parents. And she's like, no way. And I'm like, dude, it's going to be one of her parents. It's going to be like her mom. And sure as shit, her own mother is texting not only her, but her boyfriend about, like, putting his fingers in her pussy and his cock in her mouth, and telling her daughter that she's ugly and to kill herself. And then the crazy thing about it too, because this did kind of remind me of Baby Reindeer to an extent, where, while being interviewed, the girl denies it. Except for with this, although I think that in Baby Reindeer, when you see the interviews, when she did like Piers Morgan, she did admit to some of it, but wouldn't admit to all of it, I think, is my memory serves. And that is definitely how it is here. So she's like, no, I didn't start it. But I saw what was happening to her. And so I just kind of fed off of it. And then I started texting her to see if maybe there was something I was missing that she wasn't telling me. Some like names or something that she would throw at me of like, is this whoever? And because she doesn't want to get her friends in trouble. So the mom was trying to like coax her into telling her information that she wouldn't tell her otherwise. And that's how it started. And then it just evolved and devolved from there into this, obsession. And she said she was like in a really dark place, and she like never even worked at the job that she said that she worked at, and that she was not paying the bills, and she got them foreclosed on one of their houses, and they kind of lost everything, and his storage units went to shit. And the dad, when he finds out that the mom, because when the cop comes and it's like, all right, we need to talk, like, I realize it's you, she kind of cops to it real quick, which is pretty surprising. But just as somebody who's a parent, to sit there when your kid trusts you, as they should, right? You should be the beacon of hope. You should be the center point of trust in your child's life. If a child can't trust their parents, which I can't trust my mother at all for any reason, so I understand this. And this woman definitely reminds me of my mother in a lot of ways. It's very fucking disorienting for the rest of your life, because you don't feel like you have like true north, like you don't know where you're sailing. You don't feel like you have bearings on life, because your foundation is eroded. And when someone like this betrays you in this way, where they try to pretend like I've got your back, as they should, as their parent, and it's like she's consoling her and being there for her. And she even alluded to that, one of the things that she got out of it is that her daughter needed her and confided in her. And then it's also kind of shown by her sister, I think, that she is kind of an attention whore, that she really wants the focus to be on her, that if her sister tried to say anything or do anything, she'd be, the other girl, the mom, would be standing over somewhere and dancing to try to get her attention. So she really wants all eyes on her. And, she also said that maybe a lot of it was projection because she had an eating disorder and was very thin when she was young. So she was taking it out on her daughter and saying all the things to her that she felt about herself and whatever. I don't find any of what she says in this conclusion to be not only adequate, but reflective and apologetic of any sort, right? I found that she was more she was trying to, she was on the defense the whole time of like, oh, we've all done terrible things, and if you really looked at people's lives you would see that there's people who drive drunk, and it's like, yeah, but you're talking about a rash decision made on the fly while inebriated that lasts 10 to 15 minutes. It's a bad decision, sure. Should you drink and drive? No, you shouldn't. Have there been lots and lots and lots of people, including myself, who have drunk and then drove? Yes, absolutely. Is it something any of us are proud of? I mean, maybe now, no. But back in the day, everybody did. I mean, my dad literally used to go to drive-through liquor stores, which we still have in Arizona. And my dad was in Arizona my whole life. He would pull up, he'd buy two, like the big Foster's cans, and he would crack them open and drink as we drove home from work. Like I would go with him to the salon, and he would go to his preferred liquor store on the way home. He would stop, he'd get a couple cans of Foster's, and right there I'd be sitting next to him, crack him. I didn't think anything of it, just everybody drank and drove in the 80s. So it was just part of our lives. But anyway, to try to liken or compare that to, especially for sympathy, and even trying to relate to you, to try to say like, oh well, you drank and drove, and somehow that's similar to me keeping up a charade or charade. Charade feels better in that when you play charades and then it's a charade. It's the same word, but somehow it feels totally different in those two contexts. But to keep up a charade for that long while you're comforting and consoling your daughter who trusts you and is like crying to you, and you're the one betraying her for over a straight year, and you're saying really inappropriate sexual shit to her and her boyfriend, which she clearly has a thing for her boyfriend, and she can't let go of her youth, right? That's one of the things. She definitely is jealous of her daughter, that she's doing things that she might not have been able to, and maybe she's like regretting life, and she wishes she could go back and do it all over, and maybe she's trying to do that vicariously, while also beating her daughter down, because she also said, I was raped at 17. I don't know how this applies to literally anything outside of just, yeah, it fucked her up mentally, sure, but using your abuse as an excuse to be the abuser is just never going to fly for me. It's just not. I can see it as as part of your journey and something to overcome, but to use it as an excuse to do something so awful and unforgivable, no, you don't just get a get out of jail free card because something bad happened to you in the past, and now you get to be a total piece of shit to people like this, right? Like this is unacceptable. This is unforgivable. This is beyond, right? She's sitting there doing all of this stuff, talking to her daughter, being like, oh, we're going to figure this out, while also going right behind her back and being like, you're ugly. Your boyfriend wants to fuck me. Kill yourself. What the actual fuck? Like, what? And for her to just not really seem to have any real remorse. Like, if you really watch and listen to what she says, she's only sorry, like a lot of people, because she got caught. How long would she have kept this up had she not been caught? How long would she have continued to keep this going had she not been found out? But I don't know if she would have been able to stop herself. She clearly was super addicted to it. She took, like, she wasn't working because this is what she was doing. She was making up pictures of her boyfriend and writing shit on them and sending things to the daughter to, like, get her off the trail of something that might point towards her and push it towards other friends to, like, set them up, like, oh, I scored 12 points in this game, and she's the person who kept scores on the game, so she knew that would point towards one of her friends or teammates. And then that girl's life got completely turned upside down because everybody thought it was her, and she was looked at as some freaking pariah or something. It's so maddening. I know it's not as bad or even close to as bad as the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story. That's like maybe the worst story I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't know. It's definitely up there with, like, the most unbelievable stories I could ever try to comprehend about a parent, because it literally goes against all of our natural programming towards our towards our children. Like, it is just like an inherent trait that's in you naturally. When you have a kid, there's something in your brain that's like, you have to protect and love that person in forever, for eternity. That is your goal now. That is your mission. That is your purpose. You are here to take care of and make sure that this person, or these people, if you have multiple kids like I do, that they are always first priority. So to watch someone betray that inherent natural trust and desire that you have as a parent it's disorienting. As I said earlier, that's how it feels. It feels like you don't know how to deal with it, listening to it as a parent, right? As the child, this movie, or this documentary definitely ends on a very grim note, where the daughter's like, forgiving of her mother, and says I love her more than anything. And she says, and people probably judge me for still loving her or wanting to forgive her. I don't blame her for that at all. I think that is complicated, and I think that is up to her, and I'm not going to sit here and judge a teenage girl for needing her mother or wanting to reconcile this estranged relationship due to a very obviously mentally unwell person. But not only does the mom not seem to have any true remorse or regret that I can see, and she tries to deflect blame and relate to anybody, like, oh, we could all do this. So you not only got that going on, but also the daughter didn't really seem to make her work for her approval. She didn't really have to overcome any hurdles to get back into her life. Like, the daughter should have put up a wall, as should the father. But the father was a very rational guy. Kudos to him for not completely losing his shit. I think a lot of people would be much more aggressive and angry with that, and some people might see that as weakness. I don't see it that way, just because you want to be an example for your child. That being said, on the counter argument side of things, to play devil's advocate of like, which I was just about to do, you need to also, you know, be someone who, you know, puts down, you know, barriers for her to protect her, and you know, in a situation, an insanely rare situation like this is one of those times where, no, you have to be much more of a hardliner and be like, draw a line in the sand, put up the defenses. And he does. He protects her, and he builds a better relationship with her and whatnot. And we don't know all of what happened, right? The documentary only tells us so much. But you got to guard your kid a little bit more. And this girl should have made her mom, from what I can tell, and this is just my opinion, what the fuck do I know? But just being a parent, having an abusive parent myself, you can't just let her back into your life like that without consequences, real consequences outside of prison. Prison is a like, you know, a punishment by the government. That's not the same as you, right? If she has your love when she gets out, that's just not enough to send a message to her that's actually going to maybe correct any kind of behavior that she might duplicate again, right? It's like the idea I've said before that when it comes to relationships, while I don't believe the sentiment that once a cheater, always a cheater, I don't think that's true. But I do think once a cheater, always a cheater on you, right? Because like, you have to have a hard line, and you have to make that person learn their lesson. You have to be the person who draws the line in the sand, as I said. You have to say, you cheated on me. That's the ultimate like deal breaker, right? Because like, the big thing when it comes to relationship is not only trust, but like the one thing that you and your partner share in a committed monogamous relationship, the one thing that differentiates you from everyone else in your life is your sex. That's the thing that you do, that you guys do together, that you don't do with anybody else, right? And so when that trust is broken, the relationship is then broken. And you have to be the person that gives that person consequences, because if you don't, then this emboldens them to do it again later, because it's like, you didn't get any kind of punishment. You didn't feel like, it's like, oh, I got away with it, like, you know, she got back together with me, must have not been that bad. Even if you don't think of it on like a fully conscious level, on a subconscious level, it absolutely opens the door for them to do it again to not only you, but whoever they may date in the future. Not always, for sure. I'm generalizing a bit here, but I do think you have to put your foot down, and you have to be that example. Like, you cannot do this shit. As much as I love you, I have got to do this, not only for myself, but for you as well. Because I do care about you, and I do want to see, you know, hopefully you can have a successful relationship in the future. It's just not going to fucking be with me. And they're going to feel like, oh my God, I really did fuck it up. There really is consequences to this. And now I lost a person I love because of my actions. I can't do that again. But if you get back together with them and you forgive them, then it's like, okay, I mean, that wasn't so bad. And so a year later, a month later, whatever, it's like, they forgave me the first time. Why shouldn't I do it again, right? So you just got to be that example. And I think, you know, now, of course, this is a tad different because this is her mother. So she doesn't have another kid, and you know, she doesn't have another mother. But it should have taken years to get her to a place where she's like, you know, I love her more than anything. Right. And to let her back into her life as quickly as she did. Like, as soon as she got out of jail, she was just like, I want to be with her. I want to be with her. And I'm not trying to shame the girl for doing this. She can react however the fuck she wants to react, but I'm just saying, for the future, I don't think this is going to change the mom. I don't know if anything could, to be completely honest. I think the mom is fucking gone. Just listening to her, the way she reacted, whatever. But the only thing that could change her, because she does seem to care about her daughter, I know that sounds weird because of the shit she did, but she does seek her approval. She had to be much harder on her than she was. She was like, even when she was finding out, she was still letting her hug on her. She was still letting her hold her hand, and she was holding her hand back. She never once like pushed her away, screamed at her like, what the fuck is wrong with you? We never saw her confront her mother. We never saw any kind of fight between them. She just kind of sat there and I don't think she was processing it correctly at first, for sure, but as it continued to go on and it became more clear, she just kind of sat there and was like, okay, and she let her mom hug on her and everything. And yeah, maybe, she's a shy girl, we see that. Maybe she doesn't want the confrontation, that's just not her style or whatever. The fact that she didn't say, like, she didn't even seem to have a sense of betrayal on her that much, it was kind of wild to me, to be honest. But this is just like how we impart things, or imprint things on our children. Maybe part of her mother is in her daughter, and she's fucked up like her mom. I don't know, but man, that was fucking crazy to watch. Anyways, I just had to get all of this off my chest. After I watched it, and I was talking to Kaylee, I just had so many thoughts, and I just thought I would sit down and just kind of hash them out, like I always do, unscripted and without thinking about it too deeply, and just kind of hash out my thoughts here live, so to speak. So yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think about this story? What do you think about this mom? What do you think? I mean, do you think a year was long enough for her to go to jail? The boyfriend Owen, he seemed to be done. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with her, and he even admitted, like, I think she had a thing for me when I used to go over there. She was overly nice. She was always trying to do extra things for me. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't see how that's not possible. I don't see how she's like making up these fantasy scenarios of fingers in her pussy and cock in her mouth and all of this stuff, unless she has some kind of thing. And do I think she sent every single one of those messages and straight up lied about it? Yes. And I think that's also like another layer of manipulation and it being fucked up, is that she has to now, as this, pathological liar like she is, which is kind of crazy, because she's not like a full pathological liar, because she's able to cop to some of it but not all of it, which is kind of not too different from like serial killers. Like, serial killers for some reason will also do this, where they'll admit to some of their killings but not others, even though the cops are like, we know you fucking did these other ones, and they're like, I'm not taking credit for those. And it's like, and then the cops have to, because this is the same thing like what I'm talking about here, is like, well, now we have to keep the case open and potentially look for clues that maybe this wasn't you, because we have to take it on the off chance that you're telling the truth. It's like a 99.9% surety that you did kill these people. And same thing with the mom here. It's like, dude, it was fucking you the whole time. Bullshit. But there is a percentage of me, a very small one, and I'm sure in her daughter or anybody else, that they're like, maybe someone else did start this. And you will then have to also, because she already has trust issues, as she should, right? She's going to have to now wonder, who else in my life? And no one's off the table in that scenario, right? No one. Once you've had a betrayal of that level, then nothing's too crazy, right? No thing is going to be too far for you at that point in your mind. Like, once your mom betrays you on that level, it's like, well, maybe it was my mom and my dad. I mean, that's just the next step, right? Logically, well, maybe my dad was in on it. My mom could be in on it. Why couldn't my dad be on it with her? Maybe he started it. Maybe, you would go nuts with this. Or maybe it was Owen. Maybe Owen and my mom were fucking. I don't know. Like, nothing's is outside of the realm of possibility within this scenario after what happened to you. So now she has to sit in her head endlessly because her mom won't fucking admit that she just did it the whole goddamn time. And she has to wonder, maybe it was one of my fucking friends. Maybe one of my friends is a backstabber. Which then makes me never want to have fucking friends again. This will ruin her relationships in the future, her relationship with her parents, both her mom and her dad. No matter how close she gets with either of her parents, she's always going to have some, distance, arm lengths at least. Understandably so. Because once you break that trust level, like, how the fuck? Or maybe she'll grow closer to her father. Like, she said she did, but who knows? We don't fucking know. This would ruin your ability to trust anyone ever again. And anybody who didn't understand that, they're just not empathetic. They don't have that ability in them to understand other people's pain and context for that pain. So I feel terrible for this girl when the movie ended with her saying that, like, I love her more than anything, and it just, like, ends on that. I was like, fuck, dude. Fuck, this cycle is going to continue. Her mom will fuck her over again. I guarantee it. Their relationship is not mended. She did not make her pay for what she did in any way. And she's just not going to fucking change. Something else is going to happen. We probably will never know about it. I hope we don't, because that would mean we'd have to have a whole nother documentary. And for a whole nother documentary, it has something even more fucked up would have to happen. But yeah, dude, who knows? I mean, I don't put anything past this mom. I wouldn't put it past her killing her. Like, when you're that level of sociopath, when you're that disconnected from emotion, like, that you could do that to your child, dude, anything's possible. Anything's possible. I wouldn't trust that girl around my kid for one fucking second. If the mother of my kids did that, she never would. The mother of my kids and I, we have our differences for sure, and I definitely disagree with her, here and there. But no fucking way. She loves our kids, without a doubt. And I'm sure the dad would say the same thing. So who knows? I guess it's possible. Anything's possible. But if she was to do this shit to the kids, and I'm the easier of the two, if I was to do anything to the kids, she would be like, you're never seeing the kids again. I have to be perfect. But with her, I'm much more lenient on that kind of stuff. And if she did something like this, I would be like, no fucking way you're ever coming around our kid again. Never. Ever fucking again. When she's like 18, if she wants to, get back in contact with you, then have at it. That's up for her. But until she's 18, she's not fucking talking to you. I will not let her around you. You are a fucking disease on this planet. This is unforgivable what she does in this. The shit she says to her, she's like asked, like, oh, did you really think your daughter was gonna kill herself? And she's just like, oh no, like, I know my daughter. She don't know you. What guarantees do you have that you're gonna push your daughter so far that she's gonna end her own life because of the fucking absolutely horrendous things that you're saying to her? For her to just, like, so casually be like, no, I don't think she'd kill herself because of me. Based on what? What did you think was going to happen when she found out her mom was doing that? When she was in prison during that time? How are you going to protect her mom? Did you ever think that far ahead? Did you think, like, one day she's going to figure this out? There would definitely be people, kids especially, that would end their own lives after finding out a betrayal of that magnitude, right? So you had to understand that was an inevitable conclusion of this. So to say just with such certainty, oh, no, she wouldn't kill herself. Fuck you. So, no. Yeah, this chick is absolutely out of her goddamn mind. I wouldn't trust her for 1 second. This is a dreadful person. So, what an awful story. What a fucking grim look at how depraved a human can be towards their child. It's maddening. So, that's that. I don't have really much more to say. So, yeah. What did you think? Let me know in the comments what you think of what I said. Do you think I'm off base? You think she's wonderful somehow? I don't know. Let me know. I'll see you in the comments. Actually, last thing I'll say here on this matter is that I have gotten attacked by people in the comments of these videos by like stalkers. And it's a lot. And I've gotten anonymous texts from people who are threatening me on my phone. So I guess I'll just end it really quick here and just say there was people in the past, this guy named Fruity Pebbles. You can go back to old videos. And I think it was the same person maybe that was doing this stuff who said like I was trying to start a cult and spread my seed into all my followers, and that I was going to commit a mass suicide with the cult that I was putting together by this channel, which I had like fucking 1,000 subscribers or something less maybe than that at the time. And it was like, dude, who the fuck? Nobody even watches me. Who's going to join a cult? Like, do I really come off as a cult leader? Like, this is stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. And then, I would get so many comments, and that person would pretend to be me. They would make multiple accounts. They would make, you can use the same name, and you can use my profile picture, and it would be like, it would go into my friends' comment sections, like Lee from Drum Dums, or like other people, and he would put in the comments like, horrible shit said by me, and then people would look at it and they'd know because they knew me, and they're like, there's no fucking way Jason said this. So they would like click on the account and they'd show it. It would be like 0 subscribers, no videos. It's like clearer as day when you look at it, like, oh, that's not Jason when you click on it. But if you don't click on it, it definitely appears to be me. I think they fixed that now, because I think I have a number after my name nowadays, but back then you didn't. And they just said such horrible things, and even got to the point where they told me, because I said I was going to be at Mad Monster Party, and they came into the comments and they said, at some point during the weekend at Mad Monster, I'm going to stab you to death. So watch your back. You will die at Mad Monster Party. That's how fucking insane it got. And I had to issue a video saying, look, like, I was having fun with it for a while. I was making fun of them. I was posting shit about it. Like, look at how fucking pathetic this person is. Like, get a life. Like, if you put this much effort into literally anything else, you'd be a fucking, like, professor at this point. You'd be, an MD, or, you'd have a PhD in something at this point. If you just fucking focus your attention on anything besides random people on the internet that pissed you off for whatever reason. Never gave me a reason why they hated me, why they were mad at me. Nothing. Just something about me pissed them off, which I think the mother of my kids can relate to that one. But there's, what is that movie? The God comment, like, there's just something about me there's something about you that pisses me off. I feel like it's, what movie is that? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, to have someone tell you that they're going to murder you, that they're going to kill you, at a place they know you're gonna be, that at any point they're gonna go and they're gonna fucking stab you from behind. And yeah, I mean, I was a little on guard when I went to Mad Monster, just a bit. I knew they were full of shit, but you never know for sure. So yeah, there was definitely times where people would be walking up behind me and I'd be a little more like looking in their hands or whatever. But I didn't want to let them get to me. I didn't want to give them that courtesy where I was like scared and I like jumped off the internet and like issued an apology. It was like, please don't kill me or some shit. I was never going to give them that. But I also didn't want to be so arrogant and so disconnected and so stupid about things that I didn't, have any kind of self-preservation where I was just like, let my arrogance get the best of me. So it was tough, man. And then just eventually, and then as I said, other names came in and they were doing the same shit, attacking and saying similar things, the way they would go after friends, and the shit they would say to them. And it was always about me. They would always keep it about me. It was just like go on their friend's channel and be like, that, Sinister Cinema's a piece of shit, fucking, saying crazy things. And nothing even remotely true. Like nothing that would ever even be construed as fact. Like everyone would look at it on its face and be like, this is so asinine. Like you're not even trying to make it realistic. right? Like you could say something awful about me that sounds somewhat realistic, right? Something that could be, perceived as possible. But the shit they would say is just like, okay, like who's gonna believe this? This is so stupid. What is wrong with you? So it's very weird, just very bizarre. So as I said, I've gotten text messages from people who are harassing. I've been harassed. I've definitely been harassed. I was harassed by a guy for a while who was convinced I tried to fuck his wife or did fuck his wife. And he kept coming at me, and I finally found out who it was, and I laughed my ass off because I was like, bro, I've never even hung out with your wife. I literally did her hair a couple times. I literally never saw her outside of the salon, nor never did I have an interest in having sex with her. So bizarre, right? Like, I had a wild life. I had a wild past, and I've definitely done some things that I'm not proud of. So I was going through my head, like, shit, who the fuck is it? Like, I was thinking about, like, everyone I'd been with in my life, and like, thinking about, like, were they married, or, like, who their husbands were, or something. And then when I could, like, fucking finally figured out who it was, I was like, her? Like, what? I was so confused when I figured it out, because I cross-referenced. It doesn't matter how I figured it out, but I finally figured out who the guy was and who his wife was, and I was like, all the crazy shit I've done in my life, this is the guy who comes after me when I never literally even fucking had any interest in his wife. So yeah, careful. Your past can come back and bite you, even if you didn't do anything. So that guy was threatening my life. He was threatening to beat the shit out of me, expose me at work, get me fired, tried to go to my dad, all these crazy fucking things. That guy was a lunatic on this stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's it. I'm sorry. I've dealt with this kind of stuff as well, as I'm sure you guys have. Please tell me your stories. That's another thing. I didn't tell my catfish story. It's not really worth telling on here. But the way I found out she was a catfish, though, and I lost my mind, is that she sent me a song. She had recorded me a song. She was like, I recorded this for you. I covered a song that I love, and I never heard the song, so she sent it to me, and her voice was gorgeous, and her guitar was really solid, and I play the guitar and sing as well, so I was like, wow, this is amazing, like, this is really great, like, wow. And I didn't know the song, and because I had seen the Catfish movie with Neve, like the original Catfish movie, in that movie, the same thing happens where the girl's like, I recorded you a song. And for some reason, like, in my head, I was like, wouldn't that be crazy if she did the same thing that the girl in the movie did? And so, like, I went to YouTube to look for that, like, a cover on that, just because I was like, I don't know. I was like, that's kind of crazy. Like, she's just so good at everything. And then I would also, like, notice that when I would, like, talk to her about horror movies, she would always be, like, kind of looking down and looking like she was typing. And I was like, and then she would, like, say stuff about horror movies, and then I would go in the look while she was talking, and I would be reading the IMDb synopsis as she was talking. She'd be like, oh, isn't that the one? Right, oh, and she'd be, like, pretending to think, and then she'd be, like, totally obviously reading the screen, and I'd be reading it on IMDb as she was reading it. I'm like, you're not even fucking trying. You've never even heard of this movie. Like, how pathetic. And then she would also never show me anything below her face. She had a very beautiful, thin face, and I was just like, I thought she was just ashamed of her body. I was just like, I've met plenty of women who look incredible and are like, the prettiest women I've ever known in my life are the most insecure. So I thought maybe she was full of shit. In fact, I thought Kaylee was catfishing me when we met, funny enough, because she wanted to use a face filter when we talked on FaceTime, because she was like, I'm so shy. And I was like, yeah, right, whatever, catfish. But she dropped the filter after like a minute or two, so I knew, and then I was like, oh, that is the girl in the picture, so we're good. But yeah, anyway, the way I found out is she sent me the song, and then I literally clicked on the very first fucking cover on YouTube of that song, and I listened to it, and I'm like, this is the same song. This is the same song. Is it not? Is this not the same fucking song? And then I went and the tell is that at the end the girl, like, puts her guitar down and it makes up like a banging sound on the ground, and at the exact same moment in her version the guitar hits the ground, and I'm like, oh my god. And then I was like, am I out of my fucking mind? This is crazy. So I literally used a program where I synced the audio over each other to, like, where it would hold up in court, And then I sent her that. I was like, look, the audio wavelengths are exactly the same. The guitar bangs. And she still denied it. She's like, I don't know what to tell you. This is me. I recorded this. And she wouldn't let it go. And I'm somebody who's so logical brained and I can't stand lying that I was like, it was like a mission. I became fucking like obsessed. And I was like, no, I'm going to get you to admit you're a fucking liar. And I couldn't let it go because I just needed her to admit she was lying to me. So anyway, that's it. Okay, I'm done for real this time. So tell me your stories. Let me know all the things. I'll see you in the comments. That was crazy. Adios.